Welcome to Daily Review, your daily dose of literary exploration. We dive into books that spark curiosity and ignite growth. While our passion often leads us to nonfiction reads that empower and improve your life, no book is off limits. From gripping thrillers to insightful memoirs and compelling fiction to historical accounts, we're here to share and discuss all the interesting reads we discover. Tune in for your next great book idea. Thank you so much for tuning in to Daily Review. We truly appreciate you joining us for your daily dose of literary exploration. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue to share these amazing books with you. Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive into something that's really taken the world by storm. We're looking at these powerful excerpts from The Woman in Me, which is, of course, the memoir by Britney Spears.
Yeah, the pop icon, multi-platinum, Grammy winner. I mean, everyone knows Britney.
Exactly. And this book, it's just incredibly raw, a really revealing look at her life, her career, and crucially, her fight for freedom.
It really is. And what's so fascinating, I think, is how these excerpts give us this, intensely personal view into a life that's been lived so publicly. We'll get into her early love for music, the family stuff, which is quite complex. Her rise to fame, obviously, and those really deep personal struggles, especially, under the conservatorship. The idea is to really pull out the key insights from her own perspective using her words.
Right. Let's try and unpack that. Our mission here is to really understand the journey of this woman who felt for so long like her voice was just completely suppressed.
Yeah.
And crucially, how she found it again. It's this amazing story of resilience, finding your identity.
And the power of finding your true self. Yeah, especially when the whole world is basically watching you.
So Britney starts off describing her childhood, Kenwood, Louisiana. She paints this picture, everyone knew everyone, doors were left unlocked.
It's pretty idyllic, almost like a classic small-town American upbringing.
Yeah, that rural life. But you definitely get these hints early on, these undercurrents of family issues bubbling away.
Which kind of begs the question, right? How did that environment, seemingly peaceful, but maybe tense underneath, how did that shape her? And she tells us pretty quickly, singing was her sword, her magic.
Yeah, that quote is powerful, taking her to a mystical place where language doesn't matter.
Exactly. It wasn't just singing songs, it was an escape, from worries, from fears, a way to communicate purely, connect with the divine, as she puts it.
It suggests it was more than just a hobby. It was like a core coping mechanism from the start.
Definitely.
And I was really struck by that story of her, 8 years old, making Mariah Carey music videos in the backyard, believing she was a director.
Yeah, I knew what I wanted to see in the world, and I tried to make it so. That's quite a statement for an 8-year-old.
It really is, that drive to create, to escape into these wonderful, fictitious worlds. It feels very significant looking back.
And when you dig a bit deeper into the family background she provides, well, it gets pretty heavy. There's significant trauma there.
Yeah. Her grandmother, Jean, died by suicide at 31.
Right. After being sent to an asylum, put on lithium, losing a baby. It's tragic.
And then her grandfather, June Spears Sr., described as abusive, sending wives to mental hospitals. Allegations of sexual abuse. It's a lot.
It is. And Britney connects all this, doesn't she? Her father's hard nature, his drinking, being extremely mean.
She links it directly back to the trauma he supposedly experienced from his father, June.
Right. And then there's that contrast she paints with her mother's family. Elegant, sophisticated, London roots, loved music.
Of a completely different world, it sounds like.
And you see these early signs of instability because of her dad, the heavy drinking, disappearing. Her mom even filed for divorce for a bit.
That chaos seems like it really fueled her need for comfort, for safety.
You think about that bond with her brother, Brian, after his accident, sleeping beside him for years. It suggests this deep need for stability.
Which must have made losing her own autonomy later even more devastating.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting, she mentions hiding in cabinets as a kid.
But also loving to dance and sing.
Right. I wanted to hide, but I also wanted to be seen. Both things could be true.
That push-pull dynamic, it feels like a core theme for her entire life, doesn't it? Wanting privacy, but also needing that spotlight.
Yeah, that tension seems central. And it was that desire to be seen, that performer in her, that really pushed her forward early on. Winning a dance competition at 5, becoming the little entertainer.
Then Star Search, getting 3.75 stars, beating an opera singer.
In that understudy role in Ruthless, the off-Broadway show with Natalie Portman.
Where her character literally sang Born to Entertain, talk about hitting close to home.
Right.
But that New York experience, working as a child, she says it was intense, exciting, but intimidating too.
She quit Ruthless, eventually, saying the schedule was just too rough for a kid, which makes sense.
But that experience, feeling the audience connection, that electric feeling,
Yeah.
she says that really fueled her for the next big step.
The second audition for the Mickey Mouse Club.
Exactly. Which she got, of course.
And that was, as she puts it, boot camp for entertainment.
Totally. And where she formed connections with, well, a lot of future stars, Justin Timberlake being the big one.
Yeah, she talks about her little heart falling when he walked into her dressing room and their first kiss playing Truth or Dare.
It sounds like such an innocent, formative time. But obviously those connections had huge repercussions later.
Absolutely. That period really lit the fire for singing and dancing on TV.
But then the show ends and she feels that push-pull again, right? Part of her wants the dream, the fame.
And the other part just wants to be a normal teenager back in Louisiana.
So she goes back to Kentwood, starts driving at 13.
Drinking toddies, she clarifies they were daiquiris and White Russians with her mom.
And smoking with boys in the locker room. She says she was precocious with the boys, got caught sneaking out.
Sounds like she was really trying to find a sense of normalcy, maybe rebelling a bit against that structured showbiz childhood. But the performance bug didn't stay dormant for long. Her mom's lawyer, Larry Rudolph.
Right, he suggested she record a demo, a song called Today.
And that demo led her to Clive Calder, the founder of Jive Records. A huge moment.
She describes his office as really intimidating, and he had this tiny teacup terrier. She felt like she was stepping into another world.
But she says she loved him from the second I met him, even though she had no idea how important he was.
And then she just worked, recording underground for months, really crafting her sound.
I love that anecdote about her running straight into a screen door at a barbecue.
Yeah, it shows how focused she was, right? Completely absorbed.
And working with Max Martin, the producer, bringing that first album together.
And importantly, she influenced the sound, asking for more R&B, less straight pop.
Yeah, and the Baby One More Time video. The concept was originally, what, like a futuristic astronaut thing?
Something like that. And she pushed for the schoolgirl outfit and the school setting.
That shows incredible creative instinct and control right from the very beginning.
Absolutely. She knew what she wanted.
Then there's the relationship with Justin Timberlake. Very public, very intense. She calls them magnets.
Those matching denim outfits. Iconic, maybe infamous now.
Right. But she also reveals, pretty bluntly, that he cheated on her. Multiple times.
Which leads directly into the whole Crimea River situation.
Yeah.
The song, the video.
She says, I don't think Justin realized the power he had in shaming me. That hits hard.
It really does, because suddenly she's being booed publicly. She's outed as sexually active, which completely contradicted the eternal virgin image her team was pushing.
Such intense pressure and hypocrisy. She mentions appreciating Oprah, saying her sexuality wasn't anyone else's business.
Yeah, because the narrative shifted completely, didn't it? From her talent, her music.
To her body, her virginity, her relationship. Constant scrutiny. And that scrutiny just ramped up, especially during her pregnancy. She calls it a mean and hateful time.
Being a mama bear, terrified for her kids with the paparazzi constantly swarming.
There's that horrible story of being surrounded by photographers while holding her baby, nearly falling.
Just terrifying. And she even said, this is why I need a gun. Not literally, but just out of sheer desperation and fear.
It really puts the intensity of that media pressure into perspective.
And she has this moment of reflection on fame itself. That world isn't real, she says.
Yeah. What she valued was the work. The sweat on the floor during rehearsals, playing ball.
Finding authenticity and value there, not in the awards or the celebrity.
She felt like a real life was missing, which she thinks is why she had her kids, to find something grounding and real.
And this really sets the stage for the conservatorship entering her life.
It's chilling how she describes it. Her father just taking over everything. Her study, her receipts. She was meticulous about her taxes, apparently.
Right. She contrasts her own detail-oriented nature with her father's history, bankruptcy, alcoholism.
And asks the very valid question. Why was he the one deemed fit to control her life and finances?
She raises the idea, she outright states her belief that her family, including her mother and this figure Lou Taylor, were involved in a conspiracy.
Citing her father's debt to Lou Taylor as a possible motive.
Mm-hmm.
It's a serious allegation.
It is. And then the head-shaving incident. She frames that as a defiant, fuck you.
To a world demanding she be pretty good, the perfect dream girl.
She felt punished for being seen as dangerous when she just felt like a young woman trying to live.
But that act of rebellion, that cry for help maybe, it just led to more control, didn't it?
Exactly. She says she had to grow her hair out, get back in shape, take medication she didn't choose, follow this incredibly strict schedule. Her agency completely stripped away.
Under the conservatorship, she talks about her spirit retreating,
Uh-huh.
just going on autopilot.
Forced into that Las Vegas residency, her heart wasn't in making music anymore, she says.
Feeling demoralized by having zero creative control, begging for changes, new numbers, remixes.
And being constantly denied. Because as she realized, if I actually took control, it could awaken people to the fact that I might not need my dad as my conservator.
Wow, that's a devastating realization. The control was about maintaining the control itself.
And then being forced into that treatment facility against her will, that sounds particularly awful.
She was taken off her regular medication, Prozac, and put on lithium.
The same drug her grandmother Jean was on, the resonance there is chilling.
She calls it hell. Like being in a horror movie, confined, watched 24/7, feeling like a bird without wings. Such a powerful image of powerlessness.
But it's in that darkness, that powerlessness, that something else starts to happen.
The hashtag Free Britney movement.
Yeah. She describes a nurse actually showing her Free Britney t-shirts, fans outside asking why she was locked up.
She felt this incredible connection to them, like they subconsciously knew she was in danger.
Seeing people marching in the streets chanting Free Britney, she calls it the most amazing thing I'd ever seen.
It must have been incredibly validating, incredibly moving.
Absolutely. She really emphasizes how crucial that external support was. It wasn't just symbolic.
No, she says, everyone who spoke out for me helped me survive that hard year, and the work they did helped me win my freedom.
It really shows the power of collective action and that unique bond fans can have with an artist they feel understands them or who they understand.
And eventually, after all those years of silence, she did it. She called 911, reported the conservatorship abuse.
She talks about being so nervous to finally speak out, afraid of being dismissed, called crazy or a liar.
But she held on to that desire for people to understand her faith and her belief that she deserved joy, that she had a right to it.
That feels like the real turning point, her reclaiming her own narrative, her own voice.
And she has this powerful quote about identity.
Right. I've had to construct a whole different identity. This is who I was, someone passive and pleasing, a girl, and this is who I am now, someone strong and confident, a woman.
That's such a clear statement of transformation, moving from being defined by others to defining herself.
Exactly, self-reclamation.
And now, she says she's roaring back to life.
Finding joy in the simple things we take for granted, right? Driving a car, having a drink.
Singing around the house just like she did as a little girl before everything changed.
Taking her own photos, even the ones that cause controversy sometimes, the naked ones or in new dresses.
She says it's about feeling lighter and freer. Reclaiming her image after years of being, her words, prodded and posed for other people's approval.
It's a powerful act of taking back control over her own body and how she's seen.
And her definition of freedom now is really interesting.
Yeah, it's not about fame or money. It's being goofy, silly, and having fun on social media.
Being able to make mistakes.
And crucially, not have to perform for anyone on stage or off stage.
It's about being beautifully imperfect, she says. Finding joy in my own way, on my own terms.
A huge shift from the manufactured perfection demanded by pop stardom.
The woman in me, it really feels like a testament to the human spirit. Enduring all that pressure and then fighting to reclaim your own story, it really makes you think, doesn't it? If someone like Britney Spears, with all that fame, all that seeming power, could be stripped of her autonomy for 13 years.
Yeah. What does that tell us about the struggles other people might be facing, people without that platform, without that visibility?
Or just the importance of really truly listening when someone seems to be crying out for help. Even if they can't say the words directly, it's definitely something to reflect on. If you're enjoying what you hear, please consider taking a moment to subscribe, rate, like, and comment on any of the platforms you're listening from. This really helps support our channel and allows us to get better and bring you even more great content. If today's review sparked your interest and you're ready to dive into a copy of the book, please consider using the link in our description to make your purchase. Not only does it make it easy for you to get your hands on the book, but it also directly supports our channel and the author, allowing us to keep bringing you more great content. Thanks again for being a part of the Daily Review community.